I now welcome our next speaker, Mr. Farhan Ibn Abid. Mr. Farhan Ibn Abid is a strong believer of design being the greatest tool to make a positive change. Hence, designers are a bundle of greater energy and higher purpose. Farhan has an educational qualification of Bachelor's in Architecture from Nagpur University and Master's in Design (DRE) from National Institute of Design. He has worked as a design consultant at Idiom Design Consultancy, briefly in conceptual design thinking, developing process of design development, brand understanding, and experience design. He was an executive visual merchandiser for Titan's jewelry division Tanishq, Mia, and Zoya. He has worked intensively for Tata's Zoya, visual merchandising, store design, and redefining the brand for the upcoming store, creating visual language. Later, he was an associate designer for Space Matrix interior design, specifically for corporate offices interiors. He has worked in depth with his clients H&M, Myntra, Stride, LiveWorks, Sequoia, to name a few. Holding over all experiences of 4.5 years, he joined NIT Bangalore as an associate faculty 2021. Apart from this, he holds interest in performing arts and Indian wear. He believes in expressing himself via paintings, poetry, dance, and conceptual photography. I welcome you, sir.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much. Yeah, first of all, thank you for this wonderful opportunity, both Chandri and Anshul and Vivekanand College. And Varun, you can just call me Farhan. I don't, it's no need of sir or anything. I don't like to be very colonized, to be very honest. So I'll just present what I have. Yeah. And it's ongoing. It's already beautiful. And I really don't know how, but my work would say much, but I'll just try my best. Just give me a moment. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
It's visible, right? It's loading. Yeah. Is it visible? I hope so.
Yes, Farhan.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Sure. Yeah. So yeah, hi everyone once again. Star hopes and fireflies. I think I'll just start with like saying like this is something which how my childhood has been in some parts of it. I don't come from a very urban setup. I'm a small town person, and it's a very thing to happen. Like your lights will go away, or electricity will go away, and then my mom will take me out to see the stars, or on a time when there's like full of fireflies. And I think that's how hope is something which I would entertain always with. And I think that's how my life also has been. You must be wondering what's an onion doing here, but I think that's how I relate to if I see something. Onion by default is one of the specimens which has this lot of layers, right? So I believe how I am also in a lot of layering it. I do a lot of things, and I don't know if that is I do the best, but I try to do. And that's how life has been with every step, knowing myself of who I am and how I am, and why I love design. And I'll start with a small example. Chair is, I think everybody is right now where you are sitting, right? So in design, what happens is it's just so much to do more with the act of sitting comfortably. It is, as you see both the images, you have space to keep your cup or laptop or the books, and it's just more than just the part of sitting. It's more function based. And even on this particular space, as you say, this is something like inspired from a sunflower, right? It has this some inspiration taken from there. And as much as you go to the other images, you see there's one part where again expressiveness of this peacock inspired chair was being made, and then there was another calligraphy of Arabic font that was being taken and being made. In both the cases that we see, it's so much to do with this expressions and artistry and function driven, and also being obviously creative. However, all of this has nothing much to do with a gender. It's not a male chair or a female chair, it's a chair. And I think that's why I started loving and I fell in love with design, because it gives me something more than just my purpose of just a male or a woman. It talks more than that. It talks more about the function parts to it, empathy part to it, expression and experience of like how this would behave in your space. And if I start looking even the spoon, which is just would be a daily use, it's a spoon, it's a very function driven thing. And it is so much less to do with the gender somehow. Again, the daily use your pen or pencil, once again, cake. I think we all love it. It is not a male cake or a female cake. It's a cake. It's cake for celebration. It's cake for love. It's cake for hope. And I think that's what I started inclining towards design is one of the way. And yes, phones or laptops, which I think are our best friends right now, given the condition. So yeah. So much things around you. Once again, if I just conclude it, it's like more of function driven, expression driven, and less of gender. What happened with COVID? Yes, of course, some things changed. Though the woman, it was like by research, yes, 86% of the women had so much more work to do, and men still are trying to understand how do they become useful, you know. So yeah, then the gender roles change. Men would also help and come into, which at times was not, perhaps is not being dominated by them in that ways. I would say that kitchen would being dominated by female on a very larger scale. It's beautiful also they do that. But COVID did push us to understand what these gender roles are being defined in a typical society norms, right? So wow, that as an extension, if I see just not as designers, but also as like doctors, why you have to be universal. Doctors also has to be gender neutral, and then lawyers, and then educators is me, why I have to see my students more than just male and female, because they are more than that. And why as human we have to be also becoming more inclusive, right? More universal, more accepting. And again, why as designers, I give an example. This is one of the project which I did in 2014. This is one of our classroom project in NID. And here we were trying to understand the railway setup. And I took a blind as one of, like visually impaired person as one of the study point of view. And I spent quite like 3-4 days understanding how one would behave, how one would climb if they don't see. And hence some photos were being made, understanding how a ticket system would work, how you have a ticket system if the ticket wasn't made in Braille, or like you have a system of where voice activation in which they tell you or guide you where to go if you are visually impaired. And later, as the research goes, we did see like some of also my other friends who started doing the same thing for experiencing a better shopping experience for a visually impaired person. Very simple product like opening of your shampoo bottle to medicine. So here, as you say, design by default has a nature of understanding people, but also believing more into the inclusivity. And I think that is very important for us as well to understand what we do and what we do, right? So it becomes very important for us whom are we designing. And more than that, it's how can you help or how can that make a solution, and how, again, going to the portion of how I think that would, I keep saying it again and again, the aspect of empathy and emotion and respecting those boundaries. Again, as you see in an interior space when I started working, and I always wanted to know like which color defines what. And this is this that I see on the lighter shades of colors will define some part of feminine energy or like some part of masculine energy. What will it define? But not necessarily that what you would realize. It's so much to do with the personality. A person who, irrespective of the gender, has a love for this lighter shades would definitely go here, irrespective of a male or a female. It's so much to do with the personality. I can see a man also using it and a female also using it. It's nothing to do with that this color is defining that. This gives us an open spectrum of understanding and rethinking what we have already been told. I also tell my students many a times that you have to unlearn to learn something new, because otherwise there's no growth. You will just move on how you have been doing. Just look at this example. Both are beautifully bold. Both are in heels. Amazing. Both are again very bold. They're riding bikes, male and female. Horrible bosses, not necessarily will a male or a female, they're just horrible people. Beautiful dancers, they are beautiful in their own beautiful way. So it has nothing to do with who was the pole dancer, but how they are interacting with it. No? Yeah, yes. So this is also which brings us to this definition of what is this context? What is this context of doing it? I always say, in a world where everything is very gray, a rainbow always brings in hope. And it's okay if nobody's understanding you. It's fine. So it's fine. Nobody have understood me for a very long time. It took me myself also to understand quite some time. So, and if another example, if I give you periodic table, oh my God, I used to like really suffer with this. I would never understand it the first time when I saw it, and I like, oh my God, what's happening? But then as time went by, as you start spending time with it, as you slowed things down and you took a breath, you understood the periodic table, so maybe calculus and integration and a lot of other more things. Give time to things. Giving time to yourself is also very important. This is me, 2008 and 2018. It took me a long time to understand myself. Who am I as a queer person? And this is also something which I would always say that as you shape your mind, you shape yourself also. And there's so much to do also with manifestation, perhaps, right? So this is one of the shoot which I did with my beautiful friend Ahili. Uh, I don't want to sound like a celebrity, but what used to happen, and one of the reasons why I stopped using perhaps Facebook or one of the social media is because I used to get a lot of bash. Why being a man are you wearing this? Why being a man you have so many piercing and you're wearing a nose ring? Why you have a tattoo? You are Muslim, you are this and that. And I, as a person, would like to answer through my work. And I think that makes the bigger statement than just having an argument or a debate. Hence, this photo shoot was something which I wanted to do. And we were trying to conceptualize like, though you're wearing something, does it really define you, your gender, or your expression? Or is it so much to do with the inner personality once again? And yes, dance is also one of the mediums. Some parts of it being flexible also maybe perhaps comes with that. And it also defines and kind of pushes me to ask myself, is this is the best version of me? And how would your mind be flexible once again if your body is flexible? And is this necessarily that a person who is pulp or to say fat would be able to flexible enough? And there are certain norms that people already have there. So I wanted them to see my images and question themselves, oh, what's happening here? So that kind of one of the expression which I wanted to do. And I always find this very amazing question about this apple. Why why Eve have to go to have the apple, and why what was Adam doing? And why all some of our portraits is always around a woman? Why was the Sita Haran, or why was around Draupadi Mahabharata, and why around woman always things happening? Why? So is this mean that feminine energy is not that strong? Are you telling me that, or what are you trying to do? This is something nothing to do against any religion, okay? It is just that my mind, how I think certain things, and this is how I express. And I thought, yeah, why not? They are cool, they are beautiful, and they are how they are. So I also wanted to find me, like me, myself, there is also a woman in me, perhaps. And yes, hence I say that I am my own experiment, and I am my own work of art, just like Madonna. She's one of the examples where I would always love and understand, oh, this is brilliant, right? This brings me to this understanding of like how a visual anthropology is at times and how it's being depicted and shown that man has to be like this, that man has to be sculpted like this. Do you really think it is like that? Look, so maybe Ranveer is one of the amazing person, amazing actor, right? But if you started comparing some parts of this, what he is, for example, the nose or the earring, so what you see is so much to do with a Greek god, or so much to do with someone's fantasy of sculpting a man. So does this mean that time of that period of Greek, everybody was like a girl sculpted a god? I'm not very sure. What happens is being a 90s kid, perhaps I do relate with these characters because it's been just a home thing. Like my dad would play something, my mom would listen to some music. I would relate to these characters, these actors. Like one of the neighbor person who is very funny, we would call him like, oh, yeah, to Mahmood ki tarah. He's like just like Mahmood, making fun of everything. So I would relate to these people. I would relate to this actresses. Like I want to dance like Madhuri, just as bubbly as Juhi, or like, and I could relate to this some aspects of me. Right now, as I was trying to tell you, like with Ranbir, I can't relate. I don't look like him. So I don't know if it is just acting or what are they trying to show? What is being trying to perceive? So there's one part of this visual anthropology has becomes very important. Also, it becomes important because when we say like boys don't cry, do you really think it is something to do with boy or just with an emotion, the emotion of happy tears? That is very important for us to understand. Let's look at this picture. Isn't this a wholesome picture that way? I think it is. And this brought me to another series which I wanted to do. This was so much to do with me understanding if there was one point of my life that I'm getting married, how would I want to? Or if there's one point of my life where I would wait for someone to be loved. I wait for my lover to come and like meet me. How would I present myself? So in my mind, I was always a bride, irrespective of how I look outside. So inside, perhaps I am still this bride who is waiting for this person. Flowers was used in a very depictive way. Flower by default has this precious character of like a male and female within itself. No, it's so beautiful. And even like so how also like lotus, for example, talks a lot about also if you see in like say Mughal paintings or the architecture or anything to do with the Hindu gods and goddesses, like the gods sitting on a Padma, right? Sheta Padma Shana Devi, for example, the Saraswati, right? So how flowers also bring this equality somehow, some way, irrespective of religion and irrespective of gender. So here in my mind, also like as I'm eating, I'm thinking of the person, as I'm dreaming, as I'm thinking, as I'm doing a lot of this daily stuff at home, cooking, drinking, opening a fridge maybe, or just waiting in general. How flower is something which plays a role all across. Flower is also something which starts with someone's birth, marriage, and also death. And you reflect back to the life that you are living and how this understanding of this also happens with you, of what's been happening and what are you doing. There's also this very much time that you have to go back to that nature. So I would take also this one quote once again. Take a broken heart and make it into art. It's one of, in which Meryl Streep talks about quoting Princess Leia. I think it stayed with me, and also a lot of the times this take your broken heart and make it into art stayed with me more also with the paintings of Frida, with the work of Kusama, and also with many works of Balveer. Why? Because though they were kind of broken their own beautiful ways, but they still did it, they still made it, and still they're moving on, and they inspired so many people, right? So many people, so many things. And yes, there are few of the queer artists who always inspires me as choreographers, as dancers, writers, of course, and I'm very sure among you there will be sitting people who love writing, and I would love to read about your work also in the future. And yes, dogs are something which really calms my nerve. I really feel amazingly calm when I'm around them. These are my parents, and both of them has been inspiration from day one, if I to be very honest. Just accepting of who I am and what I am, and this is amazing for me, I believe. And yes, I do paint. Most of my painting actually goes for donation, and most of my paintings are in and around kind of moves around the whole concept of feminine energy as well. This is one of the painting of a spring gods, which I thought of, and having a Durga yantra and having the balance of a male and female bird, for example, but mostly as like as an energy point of view. This is also one of the painting which I made for uh, trying to question how Nagaland warrior kind of a princess, if at all. And yes, there is a discrimination which always keeps happening in some parts of our country of like, who is eating what? Why are you wearing this? And why are you dressed like that? Or why you look like that? So it's so much more than that, right? So if you start understanding each other, I think we will be in a better place. And yes, my paintings kind of also, this is Appa, which was inspired from water. Water being flexible, water being moldable, water just takes the shape of any container that you put in. And how women somehow depicts those aspects of they are very adaptable that ways if they want to, right? So yes, this is one of the painting which was inspired from that. This was Satya. Satya was another painting which I made. And Satya by default is a gender neutral name. Satya is truth. So truth again of death. I kind of like the whole concept of birth and death because it is so much to do with us and we don't know what the end of ours. So whatever you have time, do your best and give your best. One of the another painting which I made was Komodini. It was to do with the lotus, a lake of lotus. Lotus, how it grows from the mud, and having that idea, there's a lot of things which were growing around as a person. And this was also me who was trying to understand myself quite some time ago. And am I a man? Am I a woman? Am I what? Am I a goat? So I made this painting and trying to understand, is this who I am? I don't know. So yeah, maybe. This is one of the painting which I made just to understand the whole sense of crying out loud. And at times also, though I say that crying perhaps helps you in many ways, I can't. So I try to write it out. I try to let it out through my paintings and my work. You are beautiful, and the only problem is you keep forgetting. This is one of the quote which kind of my grandmom used to tell me, and I wanted to make this kind of a small painting. Which I did. And this is one of the another painting which I did for a friend of mine called Kevin, and he's a quilt person and someone who loves chai. So again, expressing one of those aspects of his personality. I also did a series, very small parts of it I can show you right now, which is like this. It's so much to do with mental health, child abuse, temptation, and being a fighter. What is the definition of beauty? Is there a rule? Is there a formula? Is there a ratio, like a golden ratio of beauty, if at all it has? This is me again. This is where I tell you and try to relate back to the onion concept which I was talking about. So how many layers am I made with? How many layers do I have within myself? I don't know. So I was just trying to understand that philosophy. How many shades of me I was trying to understand. This it also means, so yes, I love wearing dhoti and like you can know that I love wearing Indian wears, but mostly I try to contemporize them in my own way. And most of the time, this is actually my mom's sari, which I have translated into transform into a dhoti. And many a times I do buy dhoti and I wear it like say 2 3 years and try to repurpose, reuse as a shirt in that example. I love wearing jewelry, and many a times people do ask me, why as a man you're wearing so much of jewelry? And the thing I say is A, I can afford it, and B, maybe I want to look like a king. I don't know. But yeah, they wore it, so maybe I can also. I do dance. I do conceptual dance, and this is my people. I work with them very often whenever I meet. Again, we work for donation and charity purposes. As a corporate designer, I will just quickly take you through. This is a visual merchandising for a show window which I did for R in Mumbai. This is one of the work which I. So what I do here is not the jewelry design, but the setup, as you see. So this is a storytelling of the jewelry, and there's a storytelling also of the show windows this comes across. I love working with paper, and I try. It is just not about the cutting and the pasting part to it. I love to curve it out, so I spend time with again the paper material to understand how they would behave once applied pressure or heat, or you keep it in some form. So those aspects of it. This is another work of mine. So yeah. This is a store design which I did for Bangalore, and here again, once again, it is though it is a jewelry design jewelry brand, you won't see much of feminine color that wise, to be very honest. So I wanted to go something which is very neutral, and this is where I was redefining the statements, and for some reason my client, they accepted it. They wanted to be also like that. And though if you're having some feminine energy or a feminine color, it has to be something which stands out and still speaks of its own, and I think that's what is very important. This is also one of the projects which got published in Vogue, and we got an award as well for this. As a corporate designer for Space Metrics, I worked for Mintra. This is one project which I can show you. This is the reception area. And once again, this is about the brand. Though this brand is, we all know it's fashion related online, right? So, but more to do with what was his personality? What was again, how much to do with a male and female energy somehow? And we have to make it more about Mintra and less about just the people at times, because this is what defines the personality of the brand once again. This is another example of the same space. And as an educator, this is us. These are my kids. So we're just trying to teach them how to draw. Also, again, online. It was very another experience for ourselves. So we're having a pizza party, and someone is just being creative. This is done by Pooja, one of my students. So here again, I try to push my student to think not paper just as a box, but more than that. I would encourage them to push themselves when you start spending time with this material. The material aspects for designers becomes very important. How material would behave in certain ways, and how would you also behave in certain ways when you're pushed to your limits, or maybe just pushed to a little uncomfortable environment as well. Here, Erica Pom, this was actually being steamed and boiled, and then Shraddha, the student, she wanted to use it in different aspects. So this is one of the examples she came up with. Here again, bamboo sheets very thinly cut, and then sal leaf was being used. This was for litti chokha. And this tiffin system was something which was introduced, and she also was very excited while doing it. This is work done by Anshu. And this is another work which is called Makhan Fairy. It's so here also my student Ashima, she was trying to understand how from a plastic, if it goes to clay, and if that actually becomes and can go to some potter, and can that be also an employment part to it that can come up? So it was just, it's so close to my heart because it was just not about she was finishing the design. It was where she was also trying to understand that how social aspects of it is also important and can help someone at least to bring some money home. So as you see, so this is so much more to just as design or art. As much it is expressive, as much it is inspirational, we have to think of this wholesomeness of it as a wholesome social society economy in terms of like say how I say, as you push the material and start spending time with it, you also change, you also improve. I think that's what we all should be doing. And hence I always say that a good designer is always a good thinker. And it's just not to do with a designer actually. It is so much to do with everybody. If everybody starts thinking right and thinking great, I think it would have been a really good experience. And as I always say, it is so much to do with an inward and outward thinking, because inward thinking is something which will help you to understand yourself, but the extremeness of it is also like selfishness. But an outward thinking is also to so much to do with someone thinking for others, but you have to begin understanding that that might become foolish, so you have to very balancing it out. So this is a balance game that we all have to go through in the domain or in the culture or uh, in the society of designers. We always say this: you put yourself in the shoe of your user. And once again, the whole point of why we say it is because you have to understand for whom you're doing. Understanding perhaps then becomes more important. And it's not that difficult. You know why? Because we all love Maggie. We all love the first sip of water of a very warm day, especially in Delhi. We all love rains. We all love jalebi. No? We all of us love to have this warm blanket, and many of us have this tendency to keep at least 1 feet out for some reason. We all love to be gifted secretly. We all love gifts. We all love warm hugs. And we all love to be loved, and which is very important because we all deserve it. And we are very human that way. So we're very humanly connected with each other. And this brings to me another quote by the drag queen, RuPaul, who says, like, if you can't love yourself, how the hell you going to love somebody else? So yes, love yourself first. Be full in yourself so that you can give out to others. Be content within yourself. But also there are times where what's going on around the country is so disturbed, right? So this is one of the poem which I wrote long time back. So perhaps that's why we need religion, for the fear before doing an evil deed and to rot in hell. Maybe now that's gone too. So did Priyanka and so did Nirbhaya. Abused, corrupted and extinguished. Rape they, rape me and my silence. Rape whom so concerned. Yes, if that was our religion and dust is what we believed in, perhaps we not have been fighting so much about so many things in this life at least. Because you see here, again, for some reason, it is so much to do with a woman, again, a woman, also a man here. Trans gender community and the community and us as a whole for Mother Earth. Somehow again is get back to this wholeness of feminine or a woman or, and it really disturbs me at times because I know that where you come from. I came out of a woman and your mother kept you for like 9 months, which is like 6,570 hours, which is not a joke. I can wait for someone like say for 3 hours, 4 hours, and I'll just calling them up. Hey, where are you? Why are you not coming so fast? Right? But just think of the amount of patience and love and the strength that this lady had before you were born. So you came out of that strength, and I'm very sure you're strong because you are strength, you are wealth, and you are knowledge. And start owning it. Own that what you have been doing for so far, and how someone just became a mother for everyone. Someone took a shot in their face to save education for girls, and someone who is still fighting for herself, for the future, and for everybody else. And yes, you are bold. You know how to use your art as a passion and how to translate that into a bigger picture. You are someone who still is humble and who is grounded and who is down to earth and who is amazing in what you do. And you are also someone who, irrespective of age or gender or culture or religion, you're still moving on. And that is the best part. You are best because in any form, shape, size, anything, you are as strong as a woman, and never forget it. It's very important. Among you right now, I'm very sure there are people who are writers, who are singers, who are choreographers, and who are just doing more than what you're doing. Think when all of you come together, just because a bunch of flower, just that a bunch of the same flower doesn't look good. When there's a bunch of different flowers, no, it's amazing. It's always look precious and it's always look great. And I believe that's what we need right now. Create a better history and a better for everything. And that's what we need, perhaps some more stars and hope and fireflies. I think that's all. So
Thank
yeah.
you so much, Farhan. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing with us your such creative works, and you
Thank
spellbound all of us.
Thank you so much. I mean, this is an honor sitting with you guys, with Paula and with Shanti ji. Oh my God, it's so thank you from the bottom of my heart that I could do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Farhan, you're
And
actually the person that you'd shown an onion with so many layers, multiple layers, diversity to your personality.
Thank you, Lisa.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the panelists once again for agreeing to be a part of this endeavor. You have truly enriched this 2-day National Student Seminar, and I'm sure the students are taking a lot along with them after listening to you. Dr. Paula Sen Gupta, Ms. Shanti Devi, Farhan ji, and Mr. Sandeep, thank you so much for joining us today. And I would also like to thank, for Farhan, what a multi-talented personality you are, and the impressive range of works that you displayed. We are truly spellbound.
We are
And
spellbound.
Actually
we are
true.
spellbound.
Actually true.
Yeah.
It's you are
And
actually a man with multiple layers, and it's
Thank you.
and all the photography and everything. Like it's spellbinding.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Spellbinding.